ground. What a challenge that
it is. And you and I have had to go through some of this. Our pendulums have not always swung at the same times in the same ways.
Our pendulums have been fine.
Oh, I forgot, honey. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Yes, they have.
Really? They have not. Yeah, and that's something where we've had to kind of gut it through. It's hard sometimes and scary to see where you've always been on the same page, now not be on the same page. And that, and I also think that's part of embracing ambiguity, to say, I'm not coming down where you come down.
Yeah.
That's not where I'm at. Yeah. And to be respectful and say, actually, sometimes what you say might even punch my buttons and trigger me a bit. But I know this human, and I trust this human. Not that he's always going to be right. Oh, honey, I forgot. Yes, you're always right. I forgot. But
no. You are the one.
Oh, that's right. I'm always right. Yeah. I keep forgetting the rules. Anyway, the point is, neither of us are going to always be right. That's not the point. I respect him and trust his process. He's trying to respect me, trust my process. So let's keep going with that. Christine, that's a great question. Lori, Josh is by far the most honest person coming out of that arena. He and his wife really had no knowledge of who they really are and where as a person. It sounds like this happening now, however painful it is. My heart goes out to both of them there from me. Honestly, that's probably Lori, that's a good summary of how I feel about it. It's like, I don't wish divorce on my worst enemy. I've walked through friends and clients and family with divorces, and it's torture. And I don't wish that on anybody. And yeah, anyway, was Greg Harris's church, Household of Faith? Oh, Household of Faith Community Church. Got it. I did not know that. I didn't know that. That's so interesting. Thank you, Michelle, for clarifying that. There is nothing wrong with waiting until marriage for sex. I think what I didn't like was the shame-based approach it brought, in which my opinion was another layer of sexual shame. Totally. Exactly. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I endorse it. If somebody wants to wait until marriage, I'm like, go, do it. We did. Okay, there's public info. We did. It's what we decided. It's like, it's what we wanted to do. No regrets. The issue is what had happened to the people in that purity culture, especially the women who didn't. And that's what's just heartbreaking. Okay, Jessica, I'm so sorry you're feeling attacked. I was also part of, Household of Faith. I was sexually abused before this book came out. When I heard about this book, as a parent, I bought it because it was wanting to keep my kids safe. I'm so glad, Jessica. Good for you. All right, my spouse was very patient. Good, yes, Karen, good. I love Jerry's spaghetti example. Sherry, I don't like to admit it, but I thought it was kind of brilliant too. Dang it. He's just, yeah. Anyway, yes, I agree. Hi, Lisa. How you doing, hon? They were so young. Yes, they were so young. So, all right, what's the tone? What do we want to say about this, honey? What I don't want, here's what I'm hoping. I would want Josh and his wife to hear this video and feel honored. Probably not understood, because we don't understand. Let's just say that right now. We can conjecture, we can say, oh, well, this equals this. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly want people doing that with my life, because sometimes 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, because it's actually was 1.6 and 1.8 and it didn't equal 2, but I would want Josh to feel honored that this is a process that all of us are going through. Right. All of us are sorting out, which sounds like what's happening with him and his wife. Right. They're sorting out their identity and saying, I have to move ahead the way I have to move ahead, and whatever that looks like. And I guess that's my heart in this, that he could listen to this and not feel attacked. Yes. And not, you guys have been super respectful about this whole thing.
And realizing that process of sorting and identifying and evolving and becoming, all those things, they don't happen in a vacuum, and there is usually no shortage of pain or hardship associated with that.
And events and internal and external processes that we have no idea about.
Correct.
I mean, anytime somebody changes, you can take one piece of the pie and say, well, I know why Connie changed there. It's because of X. You are only partially correct. Yeah, you might have guessed right for that piece of the pie, but it's not the whole thing. And that's where, yeah, I want, because I want people to be left with this discussion a bit uncomfortable with the ambiguity.
Yeah.
That I'm not defending Josh and I'm not attacking him. We're just saying this is how abusive systems play out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the whole homeschool system was abusive.
Or the household of faith.
Right. Yeah, we got a friend who went there, didn't we? Yes, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, a few. And right now, the person I'm thinking of, awesome human. Yeah. Awesome human. I have tremendous affection for him. And that's fine, And I also know that it's done some real damage. I've picked up pieces from household of faith and in terms of abuse. And so this is where, and I could say that about all kinds, in the Portland area, those of you listen to Portland, I could say that about all kinds of churches here in the Portland area. Right. And some way more than others. And some of them are big name churches that you would know. And I'm thinking, it's not good. Yeah. Are these institutions doing good as well? Absolutely.
As I think of this, Connie, your question was, what kind of tone do we strike?
Yeah.
What keeps coming back to me is in this discussion and exploration of religious trauma and spiritually abusive systems and messages and all that stuff, is that at the end of the day, we're talking about the human casualties, the emotional, physical, spiritual, whole person impact that these systems have, whether intentional, whether unintentional.
I think often unintentional.
Right, intended or otherwise, there are consequences that roll out of these systems and messages.
Yes.
And there are real human beings that pay the price.
Yes, exactly. And real lives that are affected.
Yeah.
Sherry, and supported and loved. Yes, I hope that he would feel that. I think that's what you're saying. Oh, hello, Anne. Dealing with a life on a spectrum is way harder. It is so much fuller. Yes, it is. Is that so true? Hello, Janelle. You know what I want to end with, honey? Say something super profound while I run go get my book, because I want to end with something here from my book, and I don't have one handy.
I thought you wanted to end with an interpretive dance.
I'm going to do an interpretive dance. It's just that, I'm probably...
It's with your book.
Yeah, I'll dance with my book. All right, so talk a little more. Whatever's on your heart about this topic there. No pressure on him.
Yeah. Sometimes Connie amazes me with her level of trust in me, that she's leaving me alone with all of you in the group. But in the meantime, I think what I'd like to contribute is, what happens in abusive systems and with abusive messages is what we see being played out on a world scale, in terms of the polarizing culture that we live in right now. I just don't want any of us to lose track of the fact that all of this that we hear, either on a world, national, or regional scale, involves the real lives of people.
Of real people.
And we cannot begin to imagine all of the input, all of the context, and all of the machinery that goes on into the choices and the statements that are being made by, whether it's Josh or whether it's Connie or me or anybody.
Yeah, anybody.
Can't begin to imagine all that goes into that. And so, let's be kind. Let's back up a few paces before we pop off with one of these really neat summary statements about, well, it's this and
the
this
other
and
side, whatever the other side is. Yeah.
Let's practice ambiguity as well as experience it.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. So here's what my chapter on abusive systems. Let me tell you concretely what I'm referring to here. I have where do I define it somewhere. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She really did write them.
Yeah, I really did. Not sure quite where it's at. Okay, here it is. Humans live in systems all the time. A system is the culture of a community. Its characteristic spirit, character, ethos, atmosphere, beliefs, aspirations, climate, mood, feelings, tenor, tone, structure, essence, moral code, value system, and principles. I like lists.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So here are the characteristics. I'm just going to whip these babies off of here. A strong emphasis on spiritual, familial, and organizational authority. There's a big one. An emphasis on authority. Abusive systems have a huge emphasis on authority. The use of fear, guilt, and shame as motivators. Okay. An emphasis on being special or unique. All right, you guys.
Or exclusive.
Exclusive. The substitution of members' previous addictions with religious addictions. That's a whole nother book. It's called Toxic Faith. A different person wrote that. Such a good book. A demand for unquestioning loyalty. And there again, these can be implicit or explicit. Sometimes a system will say, you have to be loyal. But if you're disloyal, you're screwed. A strong adherence to and reliance on patriarchal structure. In other words, men running, that's a characteristic of a potentially abusive system. Members who often feel off balance, confused, manipulated, and exhausted. Extreme ideas around sexuality, either demanding extreme repression or combining sexuality and spirituality. I have a lot to say on that one. The use of religious ideas and language to gain the compliance of others. The use of denial to protect against confusing reality, rigid black and white categories and language, an us and them mentality. Okay, so if those can help you understand why I'm taking issue with things like the homeschool community. This is characteristic of a lot, not all, and there are people in that community that are not like that. But you start hitting a certain systemic thing, right. Those characteristics are what I'm talking about. That kind of builds the picture of when we're talking about spiritually abusive systems. That's my chapter on systems, that list of right. how things work.
Yeah.
And
so I think the second thing to point at is just to practice awareness around systems of any kind, to be watchful and aware of those messages that can create trauma in your life or the lives of others.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. All of those can. Janelle, I wish I could see your face, sweetie. Michelle says we're all frightened, JR. I think that was about the tone and climate, actually. Isn't that what it was? I think. And then Sherry says, maybe Michelle was frightened about the idea of me doing an interpretive dance, and rightly so. Hello, Ellen. All right, and hello, Christina. I think I don't have as much feeling over Josh as a person. He was a young guy in the system who wrote a book that the patriarchy was pushed hard. Yes. I have more anger over the ones in power who pushed and forced these ideas on us young folks. Yes. And who built our young lives and marriages around this doing profound harm. My marriage is living proof of this harm. We both agree on that. Yep, totally. And you're not alone. And there again, did it do everyone harm? No, it didn't. That's the hard part of this. My first marriage was squeezed into evangelical submission thoughts of the time that almost killed us. So much ick. Yep. And Megan, hello there. And yeah, such an important discussion. Thank you, Anne. Yeah, I think it is. I think holding these tensions is what we as mature adults have to move toward. I use the illustration all the time with my clients. I'm holding this truth in one hand and I'm holding this truth in another. I'm holding the truth that the homeschool culture really has done people profound and lasting damage that they're having to really recover from. I'm holding this truth over here that some beautiful, good, worthy things have come out of that culture. And you can't get rid of both. Right. You've got to hold that tension. And it doesn't deny your own reality. If you're one of these, that it was wonderful It doesn't deny the fact it was wonderful for you. If you were really injured by it, it doesn't deny the fact you were injured. It just is. And that's really hard for most of us to hang on to.
Right. And for a lot of people who are in that, it's some really messy, swirling combination of both.
It is. Right. And that's, to me, I look at my history with evangelicalism and say, it gave me some beautiful stuff.
Right.
It gave me some anchors, some history, community, all these beautiful things. And it did me a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. And so those are just both true. So anyway, all right. I think we're going to sign off. Let's see if there's any more. Oh, a couple more things. Hi, friend. Oh, Terrell Alicia. Hello. Oops, I gave her middle name, but that's what I always call her. Hello, dear Terrell. All right. So, oh, Michelle, I can accept and acknowledge the two truths. Thanks for clarifying. Oh, good. I'm glad that's helpful, Michelle, because the last thing I want on this is for anybody to feel attacked or, like we're really, it's like, no, these are truths. And I said that at the beginning also. You said you came in a little bit late, and so that was probably part of the preface.
Yeah, it would be the worst kind of irony to be talking about this positive thing of ambiguity and then use polarizing comments to do it.
Totally. It's like, not what we're hoping for here.
Right.
So, all right, you guys, thanks so much for joining this discussion. You can continue to type in, and those of you who are listening to replay, I'm going to try to get back to this and watch what's going on. And remember, get your book. In fact, Michelle or Sherry, if you're still on here, Michelle Stark or Sherry Amont, if you guys can put the link to my book in there so you guys can get it. I'm hearing good. Last check, I had 17 really good reviews, so that's fun. I'm waiting for the first blast to come. But so far, so good with the book, and I'm really excited about it. So get that book. Feel free to join my Overcoming Religious Abuse community. It's a closed online community on Facebook, and I will so look forward to being back in touch with you guys. Take care.
Bye.